It's already up. I'm hyped. I'm hyped. Cool, man. I like that little graphic, bro.
I definitely like that graphic, man. It looks really good, especially showing all the top teams, man.
Yeah.
We're not here to bullshit and talk about the number 11 team in the country.
That's right.
If you ain't in the top 5 or top 6, we don't even want to hear about you. So next year.
You know it, bro. All right. About 10 seconds, bro.
All right. Bring us in, man. Follow your lead.
All right. What's good, everybody? Welcome to the live stream, the Sports Code Podcast. Me and my dude Lance, we back in here again. We usually come on Tuesday nights and talk NFL football, but tonight it's a little special. It's championship week. College football playoffs getting ready to get started soon, but this is championship week coming up tomorrow. And Lance on here with me, man. Your boys in the building, the Georgia Bulldogs, man. They walking in strong, that number 1 seed. I know you turned up, man.
Oh, I'm hyped, man. I'm hyped. 12-0, baby. We're undefeated. Got a chance to make a big statement tomorrow, man. I'm super excited, man.
That's what's up, man. Well, listen, guys, this is our new live stream podcast. Like I said, it's called the Sports Code Podcast. It's something that me and Lance been dreaming about, talking about for years, man. We go way back talking about this when we was working together in Geico many years ago. Remember that, man?
Oh yeah, man.
Oh yeah.
Supposed to be working, man. We over here plotting on how we can make content for sports, man.
You know? Oh yeah, so that's what's up, man.
Got to be able to do it.
Yeah, got to be able to do it, and God giving us a chance to make this come true, man. So, like I said, I'm on here on Tuesday night with my other boys, Rob and Miko and Chad Hickman. We all get together. We love sports. But, Lance, he's a big-time college guy. He loves college football, and I like college football as well. And no better time to talk about it than now. Who gonna win it all? Who we think's gonna win it? Who we think's gonna win tomorrow in the championship games? And just talk some sports, man. That's what it's all about, buddy.
Absolutely, man. I mean, it's been an incredible, crazy week, man. Talking and college football in general, man. I know. The big focus is this weekend with all the playoff games and all the implications and what matters. But, I think if you rewind back just a little bit this week, starting Sunday, man, with all the coaching changes and just how everything transpired. We went from Saturday night thinking Lincoln Riley was going to LSU, and then we wake up Sunday and he's going to USC. And you're like, that is absolutely wild. So now you're perplexed. You're like, all right, so now this has been LSU's guy. And, what is LSU going to do? Well, they go to Notre Dame and they hire Brian Kelly. I don't know if you had a chance to watch his goddamn little conference he did at the basketball game, but I know, I know I've tried to be a lot of things, but that man is not no goddamn Southern. And that little draw that he tried to give.
Yeah, he did a little Southern little draw. He tried to change it up for you, Lance.
It was embarrassing. I'll be honest with you, man, the LSU hire – and I'm not saying Kelly is not a great coach, man, because, he's been at Notre Dame for 10 years, man. And when I heard that, I was, like, blown away.
Yeah.
Like 10 years at one program. But if you think about it, you've been 10 years at one program. So that's, amazing as far as coaching longevity. But the fact that his playoff path at Notre Dame, to me, is a lot better than what he's taken on at LSU. And his whole reasoning from leaving Notre Dame to go to LSU was because he said he wanted to play for championships.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, bro, you couldn't win a championship at Notre Dame with not having any conference,
right?
Not any conference championship game, and you go to LSU and have to mix it up with Alabama, A&M, Auburn, and whoever you have to play from the East, whether it be Florida or Georgia. And I think about it, even Arkansas is good now, man.
I don't get it, man. They must have offered him they offered him a whole bunch of stuff, man. Because you coming over to the toughest conference in all of college football, and
his contract was a little bit crazy, man, because he had some stipulation in his contract, because I saw it where that if he wins a national championship, like his buyout, he gets his whole amount of money that's owed. Like there's nothing that you can take from him or something like that. So I guess he saw the writing on the wall that
Right.
the two previous coaches won national championships and they got fired a year or two later. So I guess he's like, man, I got to protect myself if that happens, man.
All right, gotcha. And what about Lincoln Riley, right, heading out to USC?
Man,
Yeah.
I tell you what, like when I first started watching college football, I grew up in the years where USC was elite. I mean, they were the cream of the crop of college football. Even UCLA back
Yeah.
then was really good. It was always kind of dominated by the Pac-10. So they've been down for a long time, ever since I think Pete Carroll left.
Right.
They've just never really been able to hire the right coach. And Lincoln Riley, I think he's a very intelligent mind when it comes to football as far as offense. And he's made the playoffs. I think the last 2 years, if I'm not, or no, I know he's made it. I know he's made it 2 out of the last 3 years because Georgia beat him 1 year, and then I think he lost last year or his last time he was there, I think he lost to Clemson.
He
or
lost to
Ohio
Clemson.
State won. Yeah, he lost to Clemson. So, his whole problem, at Oklahoma, in my opinion, was he could never get the defense right. They couldn't score points. I mean, they put up 70, 80 points to get some teams.
They score a lot of points, but they couldn't stop anybody.
Yeah, couldn't stop anybody. So he never really addressed that issue. At Oklahoma. So it just kind of makes me think, it's like, bro, if you couldn't fix that at Oklahoma, how you gonna go to USC where other teams do what you do and they score a lot of points? How you gonna stop that? So it'll be interesting to see, man. And I think, what's kind of crazy, the one thing that I'll say about him, and just the college game in general, man, has changed a lot. But if you have a chance to look at the recruiting class that Lincoln Riley had assembled for this year and next year, the majority of the kids that he had committed were from California. They were from the West Coast.
So why? That's
so. I mean, I'm like, I don't know, man. I'm not a conspiracy guy, pal, but I'm just saying this way: my man takes a job at USC, and just about half them kids from Oklahoma are like, "Hey, I'm committing to USC now.
I'm committing to USC." So something's up with that. So it's gonna be crazy, man. It's gonna be wild times. But I'm excited. I'll tell you one other thing I'm really excited about. You brought it to my attention before we came live, and I thought it was still like in the works, but it actually happened. Notre Dame, Marcus Freeman, right? First African American head coach.
I think I don't think he's the first, because I know when we were talking earlier.
Okay.
One time they hired Ty Willingham. I know he was there. I know I say it this way, and I know we always say we ain't gonna make sports about politics or anything like that.
Right.
But I know when you think of Notre Dame, man, you think of just the lineage and things they have.
Right.
So for me, I take a lot of pride in watching them hire Marcus Freeman, because I think Marcus Freeman is a phenomenal defensive mind, man.
Yeah.
And like I said, Notre Dame, it's tough to really get excited about them because they never really had the horses to compete with the teams from the SEC and the ACC and even the Big Ten. So that's why everybody was always, down on them making the playoff, even this year.
Right.
But the one thing that I say about Marcus Freeman, man, is the dude knows defense and he's tough. He has a great just philosophy when it comes to football. So I think he's going to be able to go out, man, and just really make that Notre Dame program, make it tougher, man. He'll go out and be able to find those athletes. I mean, like I told you earlier, man, they got that safety, Kyle Hamilton. He went down here to Georgia, man, and took him out of Georgia, held off schools like Alabama and Georgia for his services, man. So if that man can go out and recruit like that and he can get a couple more of those pieces, man, he might be able to take Notre Dame where Brian Kelly couldn't take him.
Right. And for me, man, like you said, we're not getting into the politics and the black and white and all that. But for me, growing up in a small town in Georgia and just seeing somebody that looks like me at a prestigious school like that, being in charge, that just set the standards, to let little kids that look like us, man, that, you can do whatever you want to. You put your mind to it, work hard enough. And for him to be at that school, man, like saying, that's just, that's a great look for college football, man. That's a great look. So
it's well-deserved, man. I mean,
well-deserved.
He's been super loyal to that school, man. And like I said, he's produced a lot of great defenses, because even at the beginning of the year, if you look at it this way, man, Notre Dame lost to Cincinnati early. And once that happened, everybody was like, Notre Dame's done. They're out of the playoffs. We ain't have to worry about them. So all they continue to do, man, was just continue to work, continue to win. And, here we are, championship week. They're number 6 with a chance if a couple dominoes fall their way, they're in
That's
there.
right.
And you got Marcus Freeman now who's able to take over that program. He's been there. He's, been a big part of what they've accomplished and what they've done. And
Yep.
think about it, man. New head coach taking that team to the playoffs after Brian Kelly dipped on him. He goes out and wins a playoff game and does something Brian Kelly can't do. LSU might be thinking, man, we picked the wrong one.
Yeah. You're right about that, man. Just never know. But we'll see what happens coming down the pipe, man. So, look, man.
Absolutely.
Hey, your boys are smoking hot. We're going to get on the Bulldogs in a few minutes, but I just want to personally step out of the way here. I know, we all fans of different things and different teams and stuff like that, but I know you're a diehard Georgia Bulldog fan.
Oh, yeah.
So I know this is incredible for you. Y'all had an undefeated season, and you're heading into championship week smoking hot. So, but we're going to get to that in a few minutes, man. But let's talk about some of the other matchups that's going to be coming down the pipe tomorrow. Like I said, it's championship week. We got the top 4. You got Georgia number 1, Michigan number 2, Alabama number 3, Cincinnati coming in at number 4. That first game, man, let's see. I think the first one that's in the top 4, if I'm not mistaken, I'm going to pull it up here real quick. I'm looking at my sheet here, if I can find it real quick. Okay. So, yeah, Michigan playing Iowa at 8 p.m. tomorrow night.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, tomorrow night.
Yeah. Who you think is going to win that matchup, man? I mean, you know what I'm saying? You think Michigan will take care of business and stay in that spot?
It's tough, man. I know we've talked a lot this week, man, and I'll say it this way. What Michigan accomplished on Saturday, man, was phenomenal. To get the monkey off their back of beating Ohio State, who everybody going up until last week was saying was the only team that could really rival Georgia as far as offense. Everybody's like, oh, we want to see Georgia stop a great offense like Ohio State.
Yeah.
And then so they travel up there, and Michigan, man, just imposes their will on them, man. I mean, really and truly, I know the score got close at one time, but I don't ever really think it was an indication of how dominant, Michigan was in that game.
Right.
And then, you come up this week, after a big win, and you got to go play a very tough Iowa team.
Mm-hmm.
Iowa was a team at the beginning of the year that was very tough. At one point, I think they were ranked number 2, if I'm not mistaken, 2 or 3. They were definitely in the top 4, and they had some legitimate wins. And I know Coach Kirk Ferentz, man, has done a phenomenal job out there. Iowa's always known for producing great tight ends, great running backs, great offensive line. And they're just a hard-nosed team. And then I don't know if you've ever had a chance to watch, man, but they've got one of the coolest celebrations in college football that I've ever seen when they do this little thing where they have a children's hospital that's overlooking the stadium, man.
This whole stadium.
Yeah, man, the little thing they do with the children, man. I try not to be a softy, man, but as a dad, man, that junk, it hit me in the heart, man. So,
oh yeah, that's special.
Yeah, I love it, man. So I think it's going to be a tough game, man. I think Jim Harbaugh, the biggest thing that he did this year that I think is super impressive is he got younger. He got a lot of new young coaches on his staff that are able to relate with kids, that are able to get the most out of the kids. And I think you're seeing it on the field, man.
Yeah.
They had one hiccup earlier in the year where they lost to Michigan State, which really and truly they shouldn't have.
Right.
We all thought Michigan State was a force to be reckoned with, and not knocking on what they've accomplished, man. Kenneth Walker's a bad dude.
Yeah.
But, Ohio State went up there to their house and slapped them around. So they maybe not be what we thought they were. But in this game, man, I expect it to be super low scoring.
Yeah.
I think it'll be a defensive battle. But if I have to go with somebody, man, I just think Michigan's put in too much work to make it this far, not to make it pay off.
Right.
So I like Michigan to win, man. I could be wrong.
Yeah.
Iowa, they're a tough team, but if I have to go with my heart here, man, I'm gonna go with Michigan, man. I think Hassan, their running back, super good. I mean, dude put up 5 touchdowns against Ohio State. Their quarterback McNamara, man, he's pretty solid. He doesn't have to do a lot when the run game's working. And then that defensive end, dude, they got, I can't remember what his name is, but they've got 2 of them. I know I can't pronounce one of them. I think it's Ojobi is
Yeah,
one. He's from Nigeria, man.
Nigeria guy.
Dude
Yeah,
is a
he's
yeah,
a
dude,
beast, man.
he's a hoss, bro.
Yeah,
And then on the
yeah.
other side, you got the other guy too that's really good. And I can't believe I can't think of his name right now. But they're good on the defensive side of the ball, man. And
Mm-hmm.
you always go with talent. And I'm gonna take Michigan, man, to win. So I could be wrong, man.
Yeah. You brought up a good point, Lance. Me personally, man, I'm more of a pro guy. I'm more of the NFL guy. But there's nothing like Saturdays and that tradition, man. The tradition these
Oh yeah,
different schools have. That's pretty dope, man. And like I said, we're just talking about with the kids and in every school, every college, man, they got their own little like traditions that they do every year, every game. And the sound of the band, I mean, it's off
oh
the chain, man. It's lit.
oh
So
yeah.
I do enjoy that. And if you ever get a chance to go to a college game, if you haven't been, it's something to see, man. The sights, sounds, smells. We've been through this pandemic, but everybody's back in the stadiums now. It's
Oh yeah.
unreal, man. It's unreal. And as far as Jim Harbaugh, man, he finally got the monkey off his back, man. It's kind of like Georgia. They've been getting their butt whipped by Ohio State, and he finally got that monkey off his back. Because I truly believe, if they would have lost that game, he was out. Like,
Yeah.
in my mind, I'm thinking he was gone because he's had so many chances to get it right. And he said he got younger with his team. He changed up
Oh
philosophy
yeah.
a little bit. So they
Oh
definitely
yeah.
gonna take care of business. And so if with them winning, that's gonna put them in a playoff spot and the number 2 team in the
Secures
country.
number
So
2 team, man. They'll even,
yeah,
depending on how other games go,
right,
they'll even be the number 1 seed or they'll be the number 2 seed.
right. So Michigan in. So y'all hear it first between me and
I
Lance.
think we can.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think we can agree Michigan is in,
yeah,
man.
Michigan in. All right, so that's one. There's 3 slots left. All right, so the next game, man, we're gonna talk about is Cincinnati and Houston, man. That game is at 4:00. Cincinnati is the number 4 team in the country. Um, I don't know much about the Bearcats. I just know they're the top 4 teams in the country, undefeated season. And what you got? You got anything? Any thoughts on that one at all?
I mean, Cincinnati, man, they're just a really tough team, man, to really get excited about.
Yeah,
Georgia had the opportunity to play them at the end of the year last year in the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl, and Georgia really got a shot to see it at the core of that team. But with the way college football is going now, when your team doesn't make the playoffs, you
right,
have a lot of guys that opt out. Say, hey, I'm gonna sit out. So Georgia played them, with a lot of people that didn't play. I think of Ojulari, who's with the Giants now.
yeah,
Eric Stokes, who's with the Packers. Some offensive line. Andrew Thomas, who's with the Giants. They had a lot of guys that sat out, and Georgia won that game. On a last-second field goal, but
mm-hmm.
it didn't take away from what Cincinnati brought to the table. Man, Desmond Ritter is a phenomenal quarterback, man. Just being able to watch some of the stuff on him this year, being a new dad, and just being in school and watching the things that he's going through,
Right,
and still being that commanding leader, man. You have to respect that.
that's right.
On top of that too, their coach Luke Fickell, man, I think he's a phenomenal coach. And if Marcus Freeman didn't get the job at Notre Dame, I think he was the next guy in line to get that job. But again, I think Notre Dame made the right decision staying in-house.
Right,
But Fickell's going to be due for a big job even this year or next year, depending on what else happens. The rest of the season. He comes from that long lineage of Ohio State coaches under Urban Meyer and stuff like that. But what he's been able to accomplish at Cincinnati, man, is incredible, because
yeah.
you got to think a lot of these lower tier schools, they don't have the budget
Or
or the
funds in the
resources that
back
some of
end.
these bigger schools.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
yeah. They don't have the funds to to kind of compete with some of these bigger schools. So you really see the coaching talent on display. And Cincinnati, man, they went about their business and won games. And like I told you earlier, man, you can never scoff at a team that goes undefeated.
Right.
I mean, undefeated is undefeated. You've won every game. There's nothing to scoff about or be like, well, you didn't play anybody. Well, cool. They played who was on their schedule. They beat them. They're 12-0. And don't take away from them. They beat Notre Dame this year
They
on
did
the road.
on the
I
road.
believe on the road. I
Yes.
could be wrong. I think it was on the road, but they blasted Notre Dame. They didn't just beat them; they
No.
blasted them. They railroaded them. So you have to give them credit for that. But I think the drawback of them that people have,
Yeah.
is the fact that
They beat them in
gotta
October. It was October when they beat them.
yeah.
Yeah.
The drawback of that is Cincinnati gives people that Notre Dame feeling where it's like when we have a playoff, we want to see the best teams play each other, and we want competitive games.
Right.
We don't want to see Cincinnati walk in served up against a Michigan or served up against a Georgia or served up against an Alabama or whoever's there and just get cakewalk because on New Year's Day or New Year's Eve, whenever the playoffs happen, I think it's New Year's Eve.
Right.
We want to see a competitive game. I want something to watch that night. So that's the tough part. But Houston is a team that's went about their business as well. They're 11-1, and if I'm not mistaken, you can correct me if I'm wrong. Their only loss is to Cincinnati, if I'm not mistaken.
That is correct.
Yeah. So, and I think that was what, game 1?
Yes, I believe so. I look it up, but I believe so.
Yeah, so I could be wrong. I think they've even lost to Cincinnati or they lost to Texas Tech. One of the two. But I could have swore it was Cincinnati. I could be wrong there.
Yeah,
but even then, Houston, is a team that is a under the radar team. Man, they're 11-1. They've won all the games that they've played, and so it's going to be a tough game, man. I think it's going to be a very competitive game. It's going to be one to watch. I know they might not get a lot of shine because I believe they're playing at the same time Georgia and Alabama are. So kind of a bad time to say, hey, let's play a championship game.
Hey, the only people going to be watching that game is Cincinnati fans and Houston fans.
You truly are blacked out in your area.
Right, I mean, everybody else going to be on the Georgia-Alabama game.
Oh, yeah. So not to get long-winded, man, but, if I have to pick a team, man, I believe – Cincinnati has earned the right to be in the playoff.
Okay.
They've earned the right to be there. Yep. So now they just got to prove it. And the way you prove it is you win your championship game. So Cincinnati wins. I won't say anything bad about them. Play them against whoever.
All right. So you're saying Cincinnati gonna win, and I happen to agree with you. Question is, all right. So you said if they win, now you got still other 5, the bottom 5 of the top 10: Oklahoma State, Notre Dame, Ohio State, Ole Miss, Baylor, Oregon. Now Ohio State is out. I don't think they can make the playoffs if they win or whatever. But you got Oklahoma State at 5 and Notre Dame at 6.
Yep.
Right. So if Oklahoma State blows out Baylor, so Cincinnati's still in, or?
Cincinnati's in because here's the thing. The only way Cincinnati, I think, does not get in.
Yeah.
Cincinnati tomorrow is going to be the biggest Georgia fans in the world. So Cincinnati will be watching their game, but they're also going to be watching Georgia, Alabama, because if you're Cincinnati, to not only give yourself the greatest shot to get into the playoffs, you need Georgia to beat Alabama. You don't care if they beat them by a field goal. You don't care if they beat them by a safety. You don't care if they blow them out. Because if Georgia beats Alabama, Alabama's out. So what that does is Cincinnati moves up to the 3 spot, and it's locked in and guaranteed there's nobody that can jump them. Because you can't – just nobody can jump them. So they're going to want Georgia to win tomorrow. If you're Alabama, of course, wins tomorrow.
Right.
Cincinnati might be on edge come Sunday because Oklahoma State beat a top-ranked Oklahoma last week.
Okay,
they get a top-ranked Baylor team this week. So you might have the committee say, look, we've got a 1-loss Oklahoma State that has 2 solid wins right here, and they're on fire right now. They're beating ranked teams. So they're going to jump Cincinnati that has 1 big win on their resume, who is all the way back, like you said.
So in your eyes, the only team that can get out of that top 4 is Alabama.
The only team that can, I think, the only
Georgia's still in. Win, lose, draw, win. Whatever. Georgia's in.
I think Georgia's locked.
Right.
So what Georgia's playing for tomorrow is they're playing for not only pride, but they're playing for the historic season, and they're playing to lock their spot in at number 1.
They lock the spot in at number 1. Yep. So, Cincinnati. So, okay, I follow you. I got you. Who in that top? I think you might have already said it. I don't know if you said it or not, but that like Notre Dame, Ohio State, Oklahoma State, Notre Dame are the only 2 that could possibly get in. And you're
possibly get in. Notre Dame's biggest drawback right now is they don't play tomorrow.
Right.
So that's going to essentially hurt them because they're not in a conference, so they don't have an opportunity to play for the committee on Sunday.
Right.
So that's their biggest drawback. But they're not out of it because if a couple dominoes fall their way, Cincinnati loses tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Oklahoma State loses tomorrow.
Right.
Alabama loses tomorrow. Notre Dame's right there, and they're basically going to look at the committee and say, "Look, we've lost one game. These other schools have lost two,
Yeah.
and Cincinnati they don't play anybody. I
Right.
know they beat us, but they don't play nobody. But they'll try to make that argument,
Right.
So Notre Dame's not out by no means, man.
Okay. Okay. Got you. Good conversation, man. I was just curious what your thoughts were on that because, like I say, everybody below 6, Ohio State, Ole Miss, Baylor, Oregon, to me, they dead in the water. Like it just can't.
They got a long uphill. They got a long battle to climb, a long hill to climb.
Right.
It's tough to get up there. I mean, I think if anybody that below 6 that has that you can make an argument for,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Ohio State, as much as I don't like them at all,
Right.
I think they're a great team offensively. CJ Stroud's very good. Their defense is very suspect, and that's ultimately what's cost them this year is their defense, which has not been normal for Ohio State.
Right.
But they can sling the ball, man. They can run the ball. I know they're a little banged up, but they got some of the best wide receivers in college football with Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave. I mean, you're not going to find two better receivers in college football than those guys.
That's
and
right.
Their tight end's pretty decent too. So a couple things followed their way. I mean, they've got a legit argument, man. I mean, they've lost to two teams, both ranked.
Right.
They lost to Oregon, who's still in the top 10, depending on what happens to them tonight. And then you've got the other one being Michigan, who if Michigan, wins, hey, we lost to the number 2 team in the country.
That's
so
right.
We'll see, man. That's what makes this game so fun, man, and makes it fun to talk about is there's so many scenarios that can happen, man. That's why you play the games.
Oh yeah. So let's get to the big elephant in the room, man. The big SEC championship game between your beloved Georgia Bulldogs and those Alabama Crimson Tide, man. Boy, let me say something before we get into this. I have been watching y'all get tortured for so many years, man. We go back to 2012, the SEC championship game. Alabama win 32-28. Right? Y'all loaded, man. Y'all got these big major squads, man. Like on every roster in the NFL, man, there's some Georgia Bulldogs. And that's part of the reason my dislove, or however you want to say it, I'm trying to keep myself nice here tonight for my people out here listening and watching it. But over the years, y'all have had so many weapons. No Sean Moreno, AJ Green. I mean, I just keep going, man. The list is forever long, man. Just ballers all over the field, and just coming up short. So y'all lost to them in the SEC championship game 2012, 2018 national championship playoff game, 26-23. Then 2018, y'all had it. SEC championship game, man, and you know what happened, 35-28. And in 2020, it was another game y'all played, and that was a blowout, like 41-24 or something, regular season game or something like that.
The regular season game. We were winning at halftime.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. But I'm here to tell you right now, man, before we dig into this anymore, Georgia's been rolling this year, man. Y'all 12-0. Freaking defense is incredible. I'm looking for some weaknesses, right, Lance? I'm like, something to pick at you about, something to pick at the people about. I'm like, these they loaded all over. Offense, defense, special team. Y'all allow only 6 points per game or something. Like it's some crazy number. And like the defense holding everybody down. I'm like, man, it's pretty wild. But the big game tomorrow night, man, tomorrow afternoon at 4:00, man. I know you're excited. I know Nick Saban gonna have his squad ready to play, but I don't think tomorrow's gonna be that day, brother. Give me some thoughts on what you're feeling like right now. How you feeling right now about the whole situation?
I mean, I know we've talked a lot, on Tuesday nights before we talk about NFL, about what's been going on with Georgia. And, to me, as a fan that, like you mentioned, has been on the other side of disappointment, you mentioned 2012, when we lost, and we were loaded. We were loaded on defense. I mean, Jarvis Jones was drafted by y'all that year. Ogletree was drafted by the Rams. Sean Williams went to Cincinnati. So, I mean, we were loaded. We had Aaron Murray. My favorite running back ever was on that team, Todd Gurley. And, I mean, he was a freshman, and he was running all over Bama like they wasn't nothing. but just couldn't close it out, man. I think that was a reflection, not really of the team, but maybe our coaching staff. And I'm not going to try to take a dig at Coach Mark Richt because, man, I love Coach Richt. He's one of the greatest men that I've ever had the opportunity to meet or watch. But in the game of college football, in the game of football in general, man, it evolves. Right. And it's rapid, and you even evolve with it, or you get left behind. And Nick Saban, like I tell people all the time, you can say what you want to say about Alabama, but Nick Saban is the greatest collegiate coach in football that I've ever seen. The man has changed the game as we know it. I mean, recruiting at a lights out. Look at how many assistants that have gone from, coach under him that have gone on to lead programs.
His coaching tree is phenomenal.
His tree's crazy. And then you think about when NFL coaches fail, where do they go to coach next? Right. With Nick Saban at Alabama. So you got a guy that like Nick Saban that didn't do well in the NFL, but then failed NFL coaches come and they coach under him. Yeah. You can take nothing away from Bama. They have been the face of college football for probably close to the last decade, man, at least for the last 5 or 6 years. Mm-hmm. And, like me and you talk about all the time, I love my Bulldogs, but I'm a realist when it comes to sports, man. I'm going to tell you like it is. Alabama's been that program. They've had some dust ups with Clemson where they came out on the wrong side of it. Ohio State, I think, has got them before. But for the majority of Nick Saban's career, it's been SEC championship. It's been national championship. They're in the conversation every year. They're in the top 4. They win their division. I can't tell you. I think LSU winning the division, I think 2 years ago, was probably the last time that I can remember that they've lost the SEC West, that they have not been the representative. So I think they've 2 years, as a matter of fact. LSU's got them 2 years. But other than that, they win the West. They dominate the West. They win the games they're supposed to. Yeah. And they're just dominant. They put tons of talent in the NFL every year. I feel like every NFL draft I watch, and, that's probably the thing I get most excited about is the NFL draft. I love the NFL draft. I love watching where these kids are going to go. But Nick Saban has put constantly 5 or 6 guys in the first round every year. They tie records or break records every year for how many players get in there. Yeah. And, and these players go on to do great things, man. I mean, so.
Yeah, Alabama, Georgia, man, it's like all these SEC teams, man. The whole draft, the whole first round is like SEC.
I mean, you want the best, man. And Nick Saban, man, has made it happen. And thinking about all the heartbreak that Georgia's went through, I like to think that it's prepared us for tomorrow. I could be wrong. No. Ultimately, like I tell everybody, I can make a prediction, but I'm not putting pads on. I'm not playing that game to tell you what's going through the thought, through the heads of those kids. And, I've learned that you never discredit your opponent. You never count anybody out, because you count somebody out, next thing you know, you count that loss because they done put it on. So
I like what your coach said, man. I didn't mean to cut you off, but I just thought about it when you said that. Kirby Smart, he said, "You either elite or you're not." Period. When he said that, I had never heard him. I have never, I listen to some of his speeches sometimes because I'm here in Georgia, so it's on TV. But that was the first time I was like, okay, these boys, he got his boys on point. They locked in. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've never heard him talk like that before. Like, I was like, this is a different type of squad now. Like, this squad is on a different level, man. if y'all gonna ever do it, this is the time to do it. Like y'all are so elite. Y'all been so above everybody else program this year. And y'all been a steady good program over the last 4 or 5 years, solid. But this team right here is just like synced in. You can just tell like it's a different level of commitment. Like, and they love to play, man. You know what I'm saying? It's just for showing fun. It's like they serious about what they're doing. They all about their business. And they usually Georgia teams get rattled. Like they'll make a mistake and then they lose it. This team is like solid, man. And I know people watching this like, Chad must be on something. He's tripping. I'm like you, man. I'm facts are facts. It is what it is. And I think
you gotta tell the truth, man.
Yeah. I think y'all gonna take care of business tomorrow. I don't even think it's gonna be close, man. That's my personal opinion. But we can talk about that a little bit more. But they got Georgia at a 6.5 spread. 6 points.
Yeah,
Is it still at the same? Is it the same? I don't think it has
I
changed.
believe so, man. Yeah, and I think what's interesting, man,
You
and
know
you
what?
know
It's
this
just yeah,
from
it's 6.5. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
no, I would say I think what's interesting, man, and I think you know this from following any sports in general. You know, generally, especially in football, when a line comes out early, you know that Saturday or Sunday before a team plays, you see a lot of movement during the week. You know, whether folks get announced that folks are hurt or folks aren't playing or stuff like that. But
Yeah.
this line has remained consistent all week. You know, and I know Chad. Hickman's my bookie guy. He's the one
Yeah.
that gives me the lines and all that info that I don't know about. But he could probably correct me if I'm wrong, or probably tell me later. But to my knowledge, that line has not moved at all.
Right.
And to me, it's not that doesn't concern me. I think it just shows that there's a lot of confidence on both sides of the aisle. I mean, Alabama fans are super confident in their team despite what they've seen on the field, and Georgia fans are super confident because of what they've seen on the field. So
Right.
Saturday is going to be a clash of wheels, man, and you know. I think the thing people need to be careful about, especially Georgia fans, and I try to remind myself of this as well,
Right.
is you've got to take emotion out of it, and you just got to and I posted earlier in this week, man, about narratives to this game.
Yeah.
Georgia, when you talk about the Bulldogs, I felt like you were writing the narratives for the Bulldogs all season long.
Right.
As much as you try to clown them, I love you, man, but
Yeah.
you always try to give us a hard time. But the narratives all season long for the Bulldogs was no matter what they accomplished, it was always something else that somebody wanted to talk about. It was
Right.
never what they accomplished on the field. You mentioned it earlier, man. Georgia's season average for points as a defense
Right.
was 17. We didn't give up more than 17 points in one game the whole entire year.
That's insane.
And you think about it, that number's probably a little skewed too, Chad, because think of how many times Georgia had offensive turnovers that led to touchdowns. Carson Beck threw one, or third string threw one, like game 4 to a guy, and didn't even run after the guy. Well, I was so upset about that. I'm like, bro, you got to go chase that guy down, or at least try to make a tackle.
Right.
So
right.
you think some of those numbers are a little skewed, and then think of some of the touchdowns that have been scored against us late in games against our second and third string. I mean, damn,
Yep.
Kentucky caught a timeout with 4 seconds left in the game to try to score a touchdown on us.
Yeah.
So that's how much, teams were trying to do stuff. But, I mean, even this, man. I mean, defense in this day and age is rare to find, especially in the college game and the way it's evolving.
Yep.
So to see what this defense has done, and think about it this way, Chad. Georgia's starters in a lot of games have been taken out of the game by halftime or the third quarter. Most.
I know y'all not even playing the full games. Like it's just like, what it reminds me of. I don't know if you remember or not. The Chicago Bulls back when they was like 72 that year, they won all those games. Like they wasn't even playing the whole game. Like it'd be like third quarter. It'd be like, all right, Phil Jackson take out Michael and all Dennis Rodman and all those guys. That's what your team reminds me of. It's just like. Just on a whole nother level above everybody else. But you can continue on. I just thought about that when you said that.
No, yeah, man. Well, and I mean, man, I know, when we break this game down, man, and you look from both sides of the ball, and I think we can compare it this way. When you take the offense of each team, Alabama, that's probably what their biggest thing that they're known for is their offense. And I know you mentioned earlier, man, Bryce Young, man, I know you were mentioning some things that you liked about Bryce Young and the things that he's been able to accomplish. Dude can sling that ball, man. I mean, he can throw that ball, and I think it's been super impressive, man. I know you touched on it, before we went on too. How he's only a freshman.
Yep.
The dude's, I mean, he was playing high school football. Well, no, he might be a redshirt freshman. I got to take that back. He might be a redshirt freshman.
Oh yeah,
he might have sat on the bench. Yeah. So I could be wrong, but the dude can sling the ball, and I mean, he doesn't get rattled, and that's the thing. I mean, when we both watched that Auburn game last week, the thing that I kept thinking, I was like, dude, at some point, this kid's got to make a mistake because he's a freshman.
Right.
He's in the hostile environment. He's on the road.
Right.
He's going to throw a pick, or he's going to fumble, or he's going to take a sack that he can't take. And dude just stands in the pocket and throws a fucking, excuse me, I know we're not supposed to say bad language. He throws a BB. He throws a dart to the dude in the corner and ties a game.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my gosh, this dude he really did it.
But here's my thing though, Lance. He playing a whole different monster this week, buddy. Because just against Auburn last week. Now I want you to hear this. I don't know if you noticed or not. They gave up 11 tackles for losses. The quarterback Bryce Young was sacked 7 times. Okay, so that's against Auburn. So and your defensive front, it's on a whole nother level than from Auburn. So I don't know, man. We'll see what happens, man. I don't know.
Well, I mean, and I agree, man. And I know we both talked about this earlier too, man. I think, when we talk about keys to the game for both teams, so
Yeah.
we'll break it down this way. I'll give you keys. We'll do keys on both sides, and then
Okay.
we'll make our predictions here. So
Okay.
keys, like we talked about earlier for Alabama. Alabama's got to be able to protect Bryce Young.
Right.
That's key number one. You
Yep.
got to keep him upright. You got to give him opportunities to throw the ball and make plays.
Mhm.
Now, I know we both did some talking too, before the show. We talked about how their center is a little bit banged up.
Yeah.
And then their star running back, Brian Robertson Jr., there's a lot of up in the air right now as if he's going to be able to go,
Right.
if he's not going to be able to go. So if
Trey
he's not
Sanders.
able to play,
Yeah.
Yep. Trey Sanders is that dude, but let's think about it this way, Chad.
Yeah.
Trey Sanders has been hurt early in the year, man. He ain't
Yeah.
got a lot of reps.
No, he
That
has.
Auburn game was that was the cream of his crop right there, man. That's the most he probably played all year.
Yeah.
So I know Alabama fans are they've told me all week Trey Sanders is the better blocker, so they're confident with him being in there, and that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with that, but he's got to take a rest sometimes. So now who if Robinson can't play? Who you gonna bring in to back him up?
Yeah, they don't have any more running backs. Yeah, any more scholarship backup. I mean, running backs are they down all these scholarship running backs are messed up. So,
so I mean that's true, man. So I think Alabama's keys to offense, man, is you've got to protect Bryce Young, number one. Number two, and the most important one, man, you got to be able to run the ball.
Yeah.
Alabama, I think we've seen this year when we've watched them play.
Yeah.
When they haven't been able to run the ball, they're very one-dimensional and they're easy to stop. And they don't put up a lot of points.
Right.
I mean, you think about week one when they played Miami, they pretty much did whatever the heck they wanted to. I mean, basically they told Miami, hey, we're going to run over here. And they ran over there and scored a touchdown. And Miami couldn't do nothing about it. But as the SEC season is going on, they haven't been able to do that. So it's going to be a lot of pressure, like you mentioned, on Trey Sanders, man, not only to be able to block, but be able to run the ball. And, we talked about this too, man. I think it's super important. And it'll be super interesting to see, too, tomorrow, will Alabama integrate Bryce Young in the run game to keep Georgia honest?
They're going to have to, man. I think, with my thoughts, I think they're going to have to do that because you're going to have to keep Georgia honest. They so fast on defense, man, and they got beasts at every level of the defense, up front, linebackers, back end. So you're going to have to do something to try to keep them at bay. So it's going to be tough, though. It's a lot easier said than done. So.
Well, and we talked about this too, man. I mean, you think about game one when Georgia played Clemson.
Yeah.
And we both said Clemson should have used their running back or used their quarterback, DJ Ngalea, to run more. And then when Clemson did run him, he had success because it's another person that you have to watch, but they didn't do it a lot. So Georgia was just basically saying, look, if you're going to run him one time, we'll let you have the 5 or 6 yards you get, and then we're just going to realize that you're not going to do it enough. So think about it this way, too. If Bama does try to put Bryce Young in the run game, you essentially give yourself, with the running back position, another blocker. So you got five offensive linemen, sometimes maybe an extra tight end, and then a running back. So you have 7 guys running one way to give your quarterback a shot to get yards, and then you just tell him, like, hey, dude, be smart, slide. Right. So, I'm not Bill O'Brien. I don't think Bill O'Brien is a great coach either. I think that this is probably – Nick Saban has done a great job of rescuing coaches. Yeah. This is probably the worst season of coach rescue that he's had with Bill O'Brien and Pete Golding. And I know Alabama fans want all of them gone, so they're hoping that they get jobs elsewhere. But Bill O'Brien, it'll be interesting to see what his approach is tomorrow because it's been interesting to see how teams attack Georgia. Right. And I don't think there's been a team that really has challenged. Yeah, nobody's challenged Georgia as far as saying, hey, we're going to challenge your manhood. Yeah, we're going to challenge you.
I've been looking for it all year. I've been trying to get y'all challenged all year. I'm like, I'm ready to talk junk. I can't.
Oh yeah.
And
I
nobody.
mean, it's tough, man. But you know, the biggest thing too is if Alabama can protect Bryce and they can run the ball, that's really going to free them up, man, to get the ball to Williamson, who is their star wide receiver, man. I mean, you
Yeah,
saw how bad their offense looked
yeah,
when he got that targeting penalty
yeah.
last week and got ejected.
Got it. Yeah,
And first of all, I remember I shot you that text, man. I was like, what the hell is Nick Saban putting this dude on special teams for, man? Why do you got your A1 receiver out here trying to make damn tackles?
he had a brain
I
fart,
mean,
man, or something. You know, getting old or something. I don't know.
bro,
Yeah, that
I
was
looked at
dumb.
that when he hit that dude. I said, Chad Powell,
Yeah,
that is the worst thing that can happen to them, and it was, man.
yeah.
They were already struggling to move the ball,
Oh yeah.
and they couldn't do it. So you got Williamson and you got Michi,
Mm-hmm.
who's their other guy
Me.
that's really good, and
Yep.
I'll forever be a Michi fan because I think about last year in the SEC championship game.
Yeah.
That dude about decapitated Trey Dean for Florida on that interception. That man
Yeah.
come out of nowhere and knock that dude's block off. And I was like, man, Michi, if you had on a Georgia jersey, that
Yep.
picture would be hanging over my damn fireplace.
Hang on
Because
my
that
fireplace.
was, oh my
Oh
God,
yeah.
that was incredible to watch. But
So yeah.
Alabama is dynamic, man.
Yeah. But I think like you said, a major key, man, is can Alabama do something against Georgia's defense? Like I think that's the key matchup, because the reason I say that is because Georgia offense is so loaded. Like, George Pickens, I think he's back for this game. Am I correct? So he's star wide receiver, that dude of the beast. Then you got Bowers, and then you got the running backs, man. So I think the key.
That's what I would say. You got to talk about your boy, man. That's all you've been talking about all week is Bowers, man.
Yeah.
Talking about how you want the Steelers to draft him.
Listen, man, I don't care what we got to do, man. I want him bad. I don't care if we got to give up picks. We got to whatever we got to do, man. I want him. Like, when can he come out? Junior year. So he got this freshman year.
He got 2 more years, man.
Yeah. So in 2 years, man, we need to clear some stuff. Bring him on in, man.
Ready, man.
I ain't never wanted a Bulldog as bad as I want that one since Hines Ward. You know what I'm saying? So he's a beast, man. And he's from California, right? He's from the West Coast?
West Coast, man.
Yeah, that's a boy. That boy's a beast, man.
Think about it this way, man. Think about Georgia has 3 to my knowledge, or they have 4.
Yeah.
4 California kids on their roster right now. And when we talk about, too, just how the dynamic of Georgia football has changed.
Yeah.
Georgia, for the longest time, man, struggled to recruit their own state.
Yeah.
Auburn, Alabama, Florida, pretty much any other team that wanted any major talent from Georgia, they just walked in here and they took them. Now that Kirby Smart's been there, I can't really tell you the last kid that we've lost. Maybe outside, and I'm not going to say we lost him. I'm going to say we misevaluated him.
Yeah.
Will Anderson is the last one that I can remember that Georgia has lost that has turned out to be phenomenal. And Will Anderson, man, by every sense of the word for Alabama, their defensive end, dude is the truth. Now, if he had some other dudes on that defense playing with him, Alabama might be a little bit more fearful. But that defense in Alabama, man, that's probably been the worst I've seen in years, man. It blows my mind, man. I remember when they got Toa from Tennessee, and I have a buddy of mine that's a big Tennessee fan, and we're talking about when he transferred. I'm like, dude, how did y'all let y'all's best linebacker leave to go to Alabama? And Toa has went over there, and dude, he has looked anything but what he looked like at daggum Tennessee. My man is he's boo boo right now. So hopefully he can fix it, man. But it's gonna be a fun game, man. The matchup of the game, like we talked about and highlighted, it's gonna be the Georgia defense versus the Alabama offense.
Yeah,
and it's gonna be who's gonna impose their will, man. So I think it's gonna be super exciting tomorrow. Yeah. And kind of like what I've told you, man. Just to be honest with you here, on paper, Georgia should win this game going away. Just being real with you. There's no disrespect to Alabama. Right. I'm not saying your team is terrible, so please don't tweet me later or Instagram me later talking about I'm a homer or whatever, But Georgia on paper should win this game going away. But the biggest thing that I think is going to keep this game close, it's just a matter of how close is it going to be, is the fact that Bama is Bama, and they're Bama for a reason. And Nick Saban is their head coach. The only thing that I'm scared about tomorrow, Chad Powell,
What you
is
scared of?
not if we're going to win this game, because I think we're going to win this game. The only thing that's going to scare me tomorrow is if there's going to be a damn backup quarterback that comes in this fucking game. If I see Tua's brother, or if I see another backup quarterback, I swear to God, I am going to freak out because the last couple of years that we've played Alabama, we
Yep.
beat the piss out of their starter. It's been that damn backup that we can't figure out. So if I see Jalen Hurts come off that damn sideline or Tua Tagovailoa, I'm gonna
Tua
have some issues.
Tua
But
Tucker
yeah,
Tuga Tucker Luga.
yeah,
No.
Tua,
Hey,
Tua, Tua, Tua.
hey, I'm gonna tell you like the dude said the other day on ESPN when he's talking about how bad the Steelers are. You know, he's an ex Steeler. He's a defensive player, Ryan Clark. He's like Joe Green,
LSU
Jack.
boy.
They ain't walking through that door tomorrow. Tua, I'm sorry. They might be there. Some of them might be there at the sideline. You know, not dressed out. You know, just street clothes. But ain't nobody coming to save Alabama tomorrow, man. On this one, my prediction is, man, Georgia, like I said, they're gonna walk away with this one, man. From all the heartache, all the pain, all the struggles, man, all the years of disappointment, right? It's just all coming to a culmination, man, tomorrow. And there's no pressure, man. So there's no pressure because you in regardless. I feel like you in regardless, win, lose, or draw. I mean, y'all have to get blown out. It'd have to be like a 30-point loss, and then other teams, those other teams that's in the top 10 or something have to do something immaculate and have a amazing game or something. But that Georgia is on fire,
Well,
man. I just feel like it's y'all time.
well, I mean, I'll say it this way, man, and I know we talked about this too before we went on. Tomorrow to me, you're right. There's absolutely no pressure at
Right,
all because we're in.
right,
It would take a massive letdown of getting beat by 50 points or
right,
not scoring anything for us to be questioned not to be in the playoffs.
right.
But tomorrow is so much bigger,
Yeah.
in my opinion, than the playoffs. For Georgia, is you're playing for your season. You're playing for your season to mean something. And
Hold
to
on. Let me
me,
stop. Hold on, Lance. Brian Davis, happy to hear that. See, Brian, I don't know, he picked it up because I'm giving Georgia praise. Look, man, it's what it is. It's just what it is. You know what I'm saying? My head about to explode for saying all this nice stuff, but it's the truth.
I mean, I will say this. I thoroughly enjoyed all the nice Georgia talk that we've had because all the years of just hearing, the goddamn bad stuff you've been saying, that I mean, it piles on, man. I remember back in the day, man, we do something incredible. I'll send you a text and you're like, oh, y'all gonna freaking lose next week, and we lost next week. So,
Yeah,
I never really liked that, man. I was like, man,
yeah.
just
I,
give
I,
give us some credit, man.
Yeah,
Give us
man,
some
you got
credit.
credit's due. But go ahead, man. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to stop your thought.
No,
Hey,
you're
Brian, I
good. You're
appreciate you
good. So
signing on, Brian, and taking and
yeah. So
hopping on with us.
Tomorrow to me is not about. Um, I think the biggest thing tomorrow is not about Georgia beating Alabama.
Yeah,
Tomorrow is about Alabama beating Georgia. And I think that's what people have to remember. Georgia in this situation, in this game, they're not the prey. They're the hunter.
yeah,
So tomorrow, Alabama's got to bring it to Georgia.
yeah.
But to me, it's not about a time for Georgia, and I don't think you'll see this in the way they'll play. Tomorrow is not a time for Georgia just to say, look, we're in the playoffs. We just need to plan for the playoffs and win the national championship. Because to me, the most dominant college or conference in college football is the SEC. The SEC,
Yeah.
I think, if over the last few years, with the exception of the 2 years that Clemson has been in the Natty or won the
Right,
Natty, the SEC has been there every year. And typically, we always have two teams in the playoffs just because it's hard to keep us out.
right,
But tomorrow, Georgia is playing for the right to have a special season. They're playing for the right to show they belong. They're playing for the right to silence everything that people have said about them.
that's
Because
right.
all year long, all Georgia's heard, or all their players, well, I say all their players have heard, all their fans have heard. I don't know if the players pay attention to what we talk about, but
Yeah,
all their fans have heard is what you've done doesn't matter. You
right,
beat this team, cool. They're not that good.
right.
You beat that team, oh, they suck. You beat this team, oh, so and so did it better. But really and truly, nobody did it better because all I know is Alabama went 4 overtimes with Auburn. with
Mm-hmm.
a backup quarterback, without players, their best linebacker, and probably other guys that didn't play,
Yeah.
and went to 4 overtimes and won the game. Georgia went up there week 4, got their best shot and whipped their ass 34-7 or 34-10, excuse
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
They got a field goal. 34-10 and sent them home by halftime. So tomorrow, Alabama is really taking on a different monster
Mm-hmm.
than what they're accustomed to. Georgia is not the pushover that Alabama gets in years past, or the team that's going to piss down their leg when stuff gets hard or stuff gets tough, or they don't get that call that goes their way. And Jake Fromm is not back there playing quarterback. Stetson Bennett is back there playing quarterback. And one thing that we know about Stetson Bennett,
Yeah.
not only can he throw the ball, he can run.
Yeah.
So that's another aspect of element that Alabama's got to think about. So tomorrow the game should never be in doubt. And I think
Yeah.
I read this the other day, and I think we talked about this too earlier. Georgia, I think, has only trailed this whole season for
Like
a
quarter.
like yeah, not even or maybe a quarter of
Yeah.
football.
Yeah.
Maybe not even that. Quarter's probably being generous. I'm gonna
Jenner's
be
right.
generous. I'm gonna say but Georgia has never really trailed in any game. So there's really no team that has really taken them to the brink, or put them, where they've been in danger.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the way they like it. So
Yeah.
tomorrow, I fully expect to see one of the best complete games that Georgia has played. Now, whether that will come out into being a blowout or being a 7-point win, either way, I'll take it. The one thing I want tomorrow is to win the game and get out of there healthy and get ready for the playoffs.
Healthy.
But
Healthy is the key for you guys.
it,
So
it is the keys.
yeah. So what's your prediction on the score?
I'm going to be modest, man, because I love. Georgia has the capability to put up points and put them up quick.
Yeah.
Stetson Bennett is not as bad as everybody wants to make him out to be. Georgia fans really don't appreciate what the kid has done and what he can do.
Yeah.
But he can throw the ball, man. I think I saw a stat the other day that says he is top 3, maybe if not number 1, as far as the best deep ball, as far as accuracy in college football. So the kid can throw the ball.
Yeah.
He can run the ball. Stetson's thing tomorrow where he'll be tested is decision making. Georgia tomorrow is going to come out tomorrow, and they're going to try to establish the run. That's our bread and butter. That's our MO.
Right.
So there's no getting away from that. I could be totally wrong. Georgia might come out tomorrow and just sling that thing around the field. You never know.
Yeah.
But I think Georgia is going to win the game tomorrow. I see it being 24-7 or 24-10. Maybe more than that. I'd say 24-7 or 24-10. I think Georgia will put up just enough points to beat Alabama. Their defense will play strong, and then Georgia will spend the whole second half running the ball to end the game. Because as much as I love Kirby Smart, and as much as he drives me crazy at times by not putting his foot on the throat of our opponents,
Right.
Nick Saban is his mentor,
Yeah.
and he is not going to embarrass his mentor. Even though I would look at my mentor and say, outside of this, I love you, and we
put
can
my
talk.
foot on your throat.
But during this game, I'm going to shoot you a bird, and I'm going to run it up your ass is what I'm going to do. But
Yeah.
I don't get to make that decision.
I got you. My final prediction, man, on the score is I think the game's gonna start out. It's gonna start out close initially. Just the jitters. It's the championship game. Get the jitters and stuff. Even though Georgia had no reason to jitters, but you're still human. You're still human beings, right?
Yeah.
It's a big game. So once the initial jitters get out of the system, I think they're gonna turn up, and they're gonna end up. And I think Alabama's gonna run out of gas. Those jokers 3 or 4 overtimes last weekend. It's gonna run out of gas, and Georgia's gonna stomp on them, man. It's gonna be like 31-17, something like that, man. Like
I'll take your prediction over mine, man. I'll definitely take your prediction over mine.
Yeah, I really feel that way, and that's it, man. So your Final Four, man, going in. So after this weekend, that's gonna pretty much wrap it, right? Who's gonna be going into the the playoffs, right? So I think Georgia's gonna stay. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Now I was going to add me to catch up, and I say Sunday is the playoff show. So Sunday is when we get the final rankings of the playoff and find out, as they say, who's in and who's not.
Who are your Final Four? right now we're gonna close. To finish up. Who's your final four?
Ooh. I got Georgia number one.
Yep.
Again, to be the man, you got to beat the man. I love Ric Flair. That is my guy.
Woo!
So, woo! So Georgia tomorrow will beat the man, and rest assured, Alabama will still be the man because they're not going anywhere, regardless of what happens tomorrow. But Georgia will beat the man and will wear the championship belt. Number two, Michigan and Jim Harbaugh will be there. I expect a hard-fought game against Iowa. And if there's, and I'll say it this way, Chad. I know we've talked about all the games, but if there is a potential for an upset, it is Michigan-Iowa, in my opinion. Being a late-night game.
Yeah.
I don't even know. I think the game, I think they played a neutral field in the championship game. I could be wrong. Yeah. But even on a neutral field, I just feel that Iowa, man, they come to play when games matter. So Michigan needs to be super careful. Mm-hmm. I'm going to pick Michigan just because I believe they've got the guns and they got the horses to get it done. So I'm going to have Michigan at number two. Number three, if Cincinnati wins, Cincinnati will be number three. I picked Cincinnati to win. I'm going with Cincinnati.
Okay.
Do not let me down and embarrass me because I will never pick you again if you do. Cincinnati will be number three. And then number four, Oklahoma State. I know we didn't talk about this game, but Oklahoma State plays Baylor tomorrow.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to bring up an interesting fact about this game before I make my pick on number four.
Okay.
Oklahoma State and Baylor have played one time this year already. Oklahoma State won that game. They beat Baylor. Now, Baylor tomorrow, I need to see who their quarterback's going to be because if they're playing Bohannon tomorrow, I'm going to take Baylor to beat Oklahoma State for two reasons. Baylor is very good defensively. David Aranda is a phenomenal coach, and Baylor, when Bohannon is their quarterback, they move the ball. Oklahoma State has already beat them one time. Oklahoma State played a very emotional game against Oklahoma at home. Right. They won, but they struggled to win that game. They didn't put Oklahoma away when they had a chance. And Caleb Williams, as we both saw on Saturday, that Jugger ran 50 yards down the field. And I was like, all right, Oklahoma's about to shatter some dreams right here. Yeah. And then Sunday with Lincoln Riley would have been even more interesting what would happen.
Oh, yeah.
But Oklahoma didn't look too good. But you and me both know it is hard to beat a team two times in one season. And Oklahoma State is Oklahoma State. Yeah. I can't tell you the last time that they have been relevant as far as football is going, as far as to be where they're at right now. Yeah. And typically when teams are at that doorstep, it takes a great leader to lead them over the hump. Mike Gundy, the only thing I can tell you about Mike Gundy is the fact when he made that one damn viral post that he made, or not post, viral video he made years ago when he said, I'm a man, I'm 40. Come at me. So I'm picking Oklahoma State to lose tomorrow. Early game, 12 o'clock, playing Baylor. Even if Baylor's backup quarterback plays, I feel confident in Baylor just because I don't think Oklahoma State can beat them twice. And I'm picking Notre Dame to go from 6-4. And Georgia, Notre Dame will be your first round of the playoffs. And Michigan, Cincinnati will be your next round of the playoffs. So Notre Dame and Coach Marcus Freeman are getting in the playoffs tomorrow. See you on Sunday. Let's do it.
Hey, okay. Well, I'm going to wrap up real quick on that. I got Georgia number one. Michigan going to be number two. They're going to beat Iowa. Alabama is gone. Yep, they out.
Get out of there.
They out. And then I ain't going to go with you saying. I'm not listening to what you're saying on that. Oklahoma State is going to take care of Baylor, and they're going to be number 4, and Cincinnati going to move up to number 3. Because they're going to be.
I put a lot of effort into that Baylor upset, man, and you just said I ain't going to listen.
I just shot it down.
I mean, you didn't give me a reason as to why. You're just like, I'm not going with that, so I'm going. I mean, we just praised Marcus Freeman all on the show at the beginning. We were both hype about him being the new head coach of Notre Dame, and you just said, "No, I'm not listening to that at all."
Hey, being African American, he he got his luck. That's all they gonna get. That's all the Irish gonna get.
Yeah, I mean, hey, and you say that, and I say this, and just all jokes aside,
yeah,
now that I picked Baylor to win,
yeah,
watch Oklahoma State come out and win like 52-7
yeah.
tomorrow.
But that's another reason I did it, because you just your picks have been horrible.
I'm gonna get that damn text at the first quarter and be like, it's gonna be 28-0. Be like, go Baylor.
So that's what's up, man. But hey, listen, guys and girls and everybody around the world that's watching and listening. This has been a fun show tonight. Like I said, me and Lance, we're gonna be coming on here every week. Me, Rob, Lance, Miko. We come on Tuesday nights, talk NFL. But me and Lance, we got just super love for sports. Our new show, the Sports Code Podcast, man. We love sports. We're gonna be on here talking about it all the time. We're gonna be talking about if a player gets a DUI or coach in a massage parlor. Like, it's just sports, man, over here. But we're gonna stay away from politics and stuff like that. But we're gonna have fun over here, man. Make sure to follow us on social media at the Sports Code Podcast. We're gonna be live streaming on YouTube. I'm on my personal Facebook page tonight, but we're gonna set up a Sports Code Podcast Facebook page as well, and we're just gonna have a lot of fun talking sports. So if you're into sports, be a part of our community, man. It's all sports over here. That's going to be it for this show. We'll be back next week and talk about who's in and who's in the playoffs going to be going on. And make sure to join us Tuesday night for NFL Talk with me, the Professor Rob, the late man, yeah, that's me, Miko, Chad Hickman, and my main man, Lance, man. So that's going to be it for this show, man. And we'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.
One thing first before we get out of here.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead.
One thing before we get out of here.
Yeah.
I just got speaking of Chad Hickman, I just got a text, man. And he said, since we're going to be talking about, anything that happens breaking, he said, the only question he's got is, he said, when is Pittsburgh going to get that DUI for Big Ben Roethlisberger? When he getting his DUI? Because he needs to get on out of there.
You tell Chad Hickman to go kiss it. All right, everybody, we out, man. Lance, this has been great tonight, man. We'll see y'all
man.
next week, man. Peace out, everybody.